This weekend, F1 Academy qualifying in Zandvoort kicked off under damp conditions, which provided the drivers with plenty of on-track challenges, especially down at turn 3. Amna Alcobazi, Chloe Chambers and Bianca Bustamante all succumbed. However, it was Abby pulling for Alpine on top form again, who took her 5th consecutive pole position. A big moment for Bianca Bustamante, ended it up in the wall. Good morning and welcome to the 4th round of F1 Academy. This circuit rich in history and really brimming with character. It's nestled between the rugged North Sea and the picturesque town of Zandvoort. And a look at those conditions. Stunning sunshine, blue skies, very different to what we experienced yesterday. This is a track at 4.2 kilometers in length. The race has been reduced to 13 laps due to it being rescheduled this morning. 14 turns and plenty of elevation. One of the reasons we love racing here in Zandvoort. But if you are joining us this morning and you're wondering why we're going into race 1, it is because yesterday we tried to go racing, but we had pretty treacherous conditions. The rain really came in. Obviously, these drivers have a lot of experience, actually, because we had a pre-season test at Zandvoort in the rain. But yesterday, it really did get bad. Huge winds. There was things flying onto the track, so we had to postpone the race until this morning. So huge thank you to F1 Academy and all the team behind it, all the teams involved, because obviously suddenly squeezing in an extra race into the schedule isn't that easy, but we've managed to go racing this morning for race 1, and then in a short gap afterwards we'll have race 2. But there we have Nerea Marti, who is going to be starting from P3 on the grid. My name is Nikki Shields. Alongside me is Joe Osborne, former driver and McLaren factory driver. Joe, we'll have a chat in a minute. I'm going to tell you about the grid. We've got Amna Alcobazi starting on the 16th after that big spin in quali, and Emily de Houch, Dutch driver, in 15th. Bianca Bustamante has managed to recover the car in time and will be starting from 14th, with Lola Lovenfoss 13th. Tina Houseman for Aston Martin 12th, and Carrie Schreiner, a winner last year in Zandvoort, 11th. British racing driver Jess Edgar did her best in quali to start P10, and Hamna Alcobazi, who won twice here last year, in 9th. Leah Block for Williams will be starting in 8th, and American driver Chloe Chambers in 7th. Wildcard driver, best quali performance we've seen this season from Nina Gaben in 6th, Aurelia Nobles in 5th. Maya Vug for Ferrari will be starting on the 2nd row in 4th, alongside Nerea Marti in 3rd. And it is these two title rivals, Dorian Pau, who'll be starting in P2. She was just a 10th off the pace of Abby Pulling, who has taken her 5th consecutive pole position here in F1 Academy. A formidable performance from her. But Joe, obviously it was treacherous conditions yesterday, hence why the race was postponed today. Brilliant to see everyone back on track this morning. What will these drivers have been doing overnight to prepare themselves for a double race this morning? There's Susie Wolf, the managing partner of F1 Academy.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, you're totally right with the weather we had yesterday. Everyone's done really well. Susie Wolf managing to get the race put on this morning. Although it is dry, you can see on the left-hand side of this shot, everyone's starting on the inside line. The track looks a fair bit wetter there, so everyone on the even side numbers, so 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th, are really going to struggle, I think, to get off the line, as well as those cars on the left side to Maya Vug there. Jessica Hawkins looking on. So although the conditions are drier, there is still some factors in play in terms of the overall track condition. And as we set off on the green flag lap, the drivers will be looking to see is anywhere drier or wetter than other corners. Bianca Bustamante, we're on board with at the moment, is the luckiest driver on the grid. She wasn't going to take the start yesterday due to the damage to the tub from that crash in qualifying, so she is being given a second chance as Duhan looks on, obviously now just confirmed as Alpine F1 driver for next year, looking at an Alpine liveried Abby Pulling leading the field away.
Yeah, I mean, it really has worked in Bianca Bustamante's favour, hasn't it, to be able to race here. They've got the car back up and ready for race 1. The drivers are out now on their formation lap. But let's have a listen in to an interview with our top 3 drivers on the grid.
Yeah, we qualified P3 for the next race. It was a really difficult and tough qualifying for us. It was really wet. Yesterday the practice were in dry, so really different from yesterday. We don't know yet if it will be raining or in dry conditions, but yeah, we will push to be on the top, and yeah, let's go for it.
I think race 1 today will be wet. The broadcast said that, so I believe it's going to be wet. I think it's positive because qualifying was really good, so we can aim for something good and to try to fight for the victory. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously I'll think about if we are doing a rolling start or standing start, the procedure that I'll go through, and making sure I'm ready for it. But it's a long race, so there'll be a lot of tyre management. I think it's quite easy to overheat these tyres, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be our first wet race of the season, probably the only one. So yeah, just look forward to it.
Now, obviously, those interviews were done before the first attempted race yesterday, when the conditions were very different to how they are this morning. But we're very lucky, I think, to have a bit of sunshine today. Although, of course, Abby Pulling did say she wanted a little bit of rain, so she does go well in the rain. Generally, I think, you know, when you grow up in England, you're used to wet conditions. Joe, you must know.
Yeah, we get schooled in it very early from the karting days, and obviously Abby doing British F4 as well. There's been a lot of wet races this year. F4 car, very similar to the car they're all in here, and Abby runs with road in as well. So she's got a good advantage, and I think looking at that, she's got one of the drier grid boxes there. The shadow being cast from the grandstands is making the start straight the wettest. The rest of the lap looked pretty dry to me as they've finished their formation lap. Leah Block giving it one last bootful of throttle to try and get some temperature in those rear tyres as we look at Abby Pulling. She'll be super focused now, waiting for those lights to come on.
Yeah, and just a reminder, of course, Abby Pulling on pole position. It is her 5th consecutive pole position, but she's on 147 points at the moment. A 66-point gap between herself and Dorian Pat in P2. Chloe Chambers just behind, and it's all eyes on the lights. Poised and ready to go. And F1 Academy is underway here in Zandvoort, and it's an excellent start there for Abby Pulling. Side by side, Nerea Marti gets ahead of Dorian Pan. Dorian Pan is side by side with Nerea Marti. Who's going to come out on top? Keep an eye on that. Everyone else behind jostles in for position, but a brilliant start. Great reactions from Abby Pulling there, and it is Dorian Pan who manages to hold on to P2, but Nerea Marti is right on her tail, followed by Maya Vug.
Yeah, really good start, even from everyone. Abby Pulling doing perfect. Looked like Pam was on the back foot, but managed to hold the inside to a fast-starting Marti. As we see Gaben looking down the inside of Nobles, who's also had a good start. She had a look down the inside of Mara Vuggen to turn 3. Couldn't quite get it stopped. Very easy to lock her brake on this opening lap. Tyre temps, brake temps, not in the perfect operating window, but everyone has stayed clean so far, all the way up to turn number 9.
That is a really phenomenal result there for Abby Pulling. She's properly capitalised on the start of that race, which we've seen in the past, just how critical it can be. Nina Gaidman there putting in a brilliant performance. She pushes ahead of the Puma car of Aurelia Nobles. Let's keep an eye on what she can do during the course of this first race here.
Also, Chloe Chambers behind Nobles, looking racy. Our most recent race winner, at Barcelona. She'll be wanting to lift herself up from 7th position, really tight in the sort of the back part as well. You can see Houseman and Schreiner battling hard. Pan looks like she's got some good pace though, doesn't she? Is she just getting that gap down a little bit? The slipstream's so extreme here. See the cars bottoming out through the bank turn 14 as the fuel starts to burn off. That will happen less and less, but Pan's pace looks good. She was the fastest driver out of anyone in Sector 2. Big lock-up for Nobles. Can she keep it on the track? Yes, she can. Another lock-up as well there for Block. Like I said, these tyres aren't quite up to temperature yet, and that gives Alcabazi a chance to get down the inside of Block. She thinks better of it and lives to fight another day.
Yeah, Chloe Chambers breathing down the neck there of the Puma livery. Incredible racing from her, and Dorian Pan is now on the hunt. She is coming for Abby Pulling. She knows just how critical it is to gain those points to be in the hunt for the title. You can see Leah Block as well pushing hard behind Nina Hausmann.
Yeah, just looking down the field, Jessica Edgar has lost 3 places, so she'll want to get back going forward past those cars. She's lost places to Lovin Foss and Hausmann have got past her on these first couple of laps. Does look like Pulling is just gapping Pan a little bit at the start of the lap, and then it looks like it comes back to Pan a little bit towards the end of the lap. So we're already getting a bit of an ebb and flow here. The cars are identical, but the drivers can set them up how they want. So there will be strengths and weaknesses for all 16 of these cars.
So after the first 2 laps, we've got Abby Pulling, who manages to maintain the lead of this race. Dorian Pat in the Mercedes livery, 8/10 off her. A little bit of a gap between Pat and Marty. We're now just on board with Chloe Chambers, who has managed to maintain her position in 7th. So behind Marty, we've got Vug Gaidman, our wildcard driver, who did a great job moving up ahead of Nobles in 6th. Chloe Chambers, Block in 8th, Hamna Alkabasi 9th, Schreiner in 10th, Lovin Foss 11th, Hausmann 12th, Edgar 13th, Emily de Hauge, a home race for her, looking for some points on the board, and Bianca Bustamante in 15th, with Amna Alkabasi closing out in 16th. So Chloe Chambers there managing to build a little bit of a gap between herself and Leah Block. We'll keep an eye on that battle. You can see just behind Leah Block there, you've got Hamna Alkabasi. Now Hamna has done really well here in the past. She's won twice before last year, and she has shown some brilliant progression over the course of this season. She was the highest place finisher from F1 Academy last year, and she was on the podium, of course, last time out, and she was 3rd in the standings last year.
Yeah, we're just seeing a race control message there. Let's listen in to Alkabasi.
Okay, Hamna, with determination, think about the best place to do it.
The engineer there just trying to focus Hamda on the front foot. You talk about her being a race winner, but Carrie Schreiner behind her as well, also winning here at Zandvoort. Before you see the American Express car of Edgar down in 13th at the moment after starting 10th. Abby Pulling's pace is getting strong. She was the only, we're also seeing incident there for Lovin Foss, false start. So all the sensors will be relayed to race control and they have all the data. But Pulling's pace, she was the only driver in the 37, 6/10 faster than anybody else. She's pulled that gap out to 1.4. I think that's going to be closer to 2 seconds by the end of this lap, and we've only got 10 laps to go.
Yeah, so next, the following race, and this was supposed to be 17 laps, but obviously because of trying to fit in race 1 into today's schedule, it has been reduced to 13 laps. Moving the race from 17 to 13, what effect will have that had on the drivers' approach to this race?
Not so much for the drivers. Every lap is a sprint. It's relatively hard on tyres here at Zandvoort, but not enough to have to manage the tyres in these F1 Academy cars. The main difference will just be a little less fuel, so 4 laps less fuel, 12 kilos or so. So the car will just feel a bit more nimble than it will do in race 2. All the drivers having new tyres due to a wet qualifying session, so the grip levels will actually be high. A racetrack is always fast in the morning, track temp is low, the sun coming up, you get this happy hour effect, and it'll be interesting to see the lap time. So they keep getting faster as the fuel comes off or as the tyres drop off, and are we going to see a slight shift in performance as that happens? As we go to a replay of the race start, you can see Pulling gets away well. Nuria Marty gets a great jump. Pan has to go over and cover, and this is where Pan does so well to hold the inside into turn 1, the Tarzan hairpin, and just force Nuria Marty a little higher than she would want to be, and that lets Pan get back past her and reclaim 2nd position.
Yeah, and a great start there from Abby Pulling, and a good bit of defensive work from Dorian Pat to secure P2. And then a little bit of action between Maya Vug and Nerea Marty there, side by side, but Nerea Marty coming out on top to secure her P3.
Interestingly there, we're talking about a false start potentially for Pan. I can't see it on any of those 2 replays we just got given. I couldn't even see like a creeping effect. Sometimes the clutch point just starts to slip away from you as a driver and the car just lurches forward, but I think that under review looked okay for Pan. Not sure on Lovin Foss. We're also getting an incident involving Houseman and Edgar noted at turn 3, so it'll be interesting to see what has happened there. They haven't swapped positions. You can hear Bustamante gets a big bit of wheel spin there on a damp part of the track. You can see the Hausch in the Ford liveried Red Bull car get down the inside. She then goes all the way to the inside to try and get the shortest distance, but everyone stacks up a bit. Noah Arki 2x2 there, and it was difficult for anyone to really make a place. But more importantly, no one had contact and no one created any damage. So let's see, you can see the lights. When do they go? You need to kind of look both. I think the lights are off before she moves. So for me, she's innocent, but unfortunately for her, I'm only a commentator, not a race director.
And obviously when they are analysing this, it's done from visuals or it's done just purely on the sensors, or is it a collaboration of both?
The sensors should never be wrong, so they're ultimately what is taken as data, but obviously sensors can fail. So if they're not happy with that, they will use the backup footage that we've just seen essentially to work it out. There is a minimum reaction time to stop drivers guessing, so you can't react under a couple of tenths of a second. It's physically impossible for your reactions to be that fast essentially.
So you can see Carrie Shiner in that bright green and black Kick Sauber car, currently in a points finishing position in P10, definitely on the hunt for Hamna Al-Khabazi ahead. Interestingly, both of those drivers were race winners last year, both part of F1 Academy. And each driver only gets to compete in F1 Academy for 2 seasons. So this is the last year that they really have to impress. And, you know, if you're not winning at the title, then you need to be able to secure yourself a job for next year, a seat in another championship or another series. So it really is critical to be able to perform, not just for yourself, but to be able to secure yourself a seat for next year.
Yeah, and that's the whole principle of an academy, right? It's like if you go to university and you leave, you go into the real world and you find your job, and the academy is the springboard to go and get that job within motorsport. Maybe not just as a driver. We've seen many drivers go into different tangents of the sport, and that's where F1 Academy is really knocking down doors outside of just what we're seeing here with the drivers behind the wheel. Al-Khabazi in her second year, like you said, will want to be a little higher than this. Inside the top 10 is great, but I think she knows she should be on the podium, and that's why her engineer was just trying to focus her in a little bit. You can see her just keeping it a little tighter than Leah Block, who is in her first year in academy, but also of any circuit racing. So she's doing extremely well at the moment. We've seen a couple of big lockups for her into turn number 1. So again, the teams will be helping these drivers on the radio, suggesting a brake bias change how much of the brake energy is going to the front axle, and if you can shift it rearwards, you might just be able to brake a little later and save those front tyres.
Also, what I find fascinating about this track is how, particularly for the banked corners, there are so many different lines that you can take. So actually, you know, practice, we had 2 practice sessions over the course of this weekend, is probably more critical here than others because they can just find that perfect line to get the maximum out of the car.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to sort of do a trial and error with these corners. There's just an infinite amount of lines and none of them are perfect. So if you're stuck behind someone, what you tend to do is run into a corner a little bit deeper, which gives you a later apex, which means you're straighter on the run out, which gives you a sort of higher straight line, as we do see a time penalty for Pan for that false start. So I'm wrong on that. Obviously I've called it looks okay to me, but race control have a lot more data than me. That 5 second will get communicated to her. At the moment she's only 1.6 ahead of Marty, so 5 seconds would drop her either to 6th or 7th. Chloe Chambers is exactly 5 seconds behind her at the moment, and she is in P number 6.
So that is now going to be the target for Dorian Pan. It is not so much managing to take the lead of the race, but she needs to create that 5 second gap between herself and Nerea Marti. Otherwise, she will lose out on points that are absolutely critical in her fight for the title at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult there. We're still seeing this ebb and flow. Nobles actually looks like she's found a little bit of pace in that Puma car. Block is definitely holding up Al-Khabazi, but that is motorsport. You don't need to be in fast. It's going to be interesting. Let's hear from Pan about the penalty.
Dori, we need to push as hard as you can. We have 5 seconds time penalty for jump start. 5 seconds time penalty for jump start. Push.
I would have loved to have heard her reaction to that, or maybe it wasn't broadcastable.
Yeah, the retort would have been interesting to say the least.
How much does that affect your psyche during the course of the race? You know, potentially, maybe she was aware she'd done it, maybe she wasn't, and if you're not and you feel like you've been unfairly penalised, how difficult is it to sort of almost block it out but just focus on the race ahead?
Yeah, it's important information though, because she might be realising that I probably haven't got the pace to catch pulling and I'm safe from Marty, so I don't need to push. But now she knows she needs to try and find an extra 5 seconds. She will be pushing everything. So information is key, as we see another penalty for a false start as well. Amna Alkabezi currently in 16th place. So yeah, interesting, a couple of penalties already for that. But yeah, Dorian Pan, she's very calm in her demeanour. Interestingly, drivers, it's a real watershed thing if the anger makes them better or worse. Sometimes you can harness that anger. I know personally, when I get angry over something, you kind of give it that devil may care attitude and you go, I don't really care if I crash anymore. I'm going to really push the envelope and see what happens. And that's why it's a watershed, because you either do go faster or you crash.
Yeah, well, we've got a great battle going on between Maya Vug in the red Ferrari and Nerea Marti in the Tommy Hilfiger car just ahead. I mean, Nerea Marti's had a great season so far, you know, consistently improving. I think she's quite an adaptable driver, quite an intuitive driver, perhaps a little bit less data-driven than some of the others, but it's really suiting her over the course of the season. She's currently 4th in the championship on 63 points, but there's, you know, a couple of them. She's on 63 points, Bianca Bustamante 57 points, Hamna Alkabezi on 55. So this is the point in the season, you know, we're almost at the midpoint. In fact, after this race, we are bang halfway through the season. Someone needs to take charge of that fight for the 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the season, when you're putting together your sort of press pack for the next year, being able to say you finished 2nd or 3rd in the championship sounds a lot better, doesn't it? As we go to a onboard here of Alkabezi behind Leah Block into turn number 13. What happens here? Block's a little wide. She uses a lot of curb though, Alkabezi, and I think that just bottomed out the car. The cars are so low, the plank underneath the driver's seat is the lowest point. I think that she just bottomed out there and it gave her a big snap of oversteer. She did well to catch it, but she did lose to Leah Block there. Now 1.2 seconds behind, whereas Leah Block is down to 4/10 from Nobles in front of her.
So we're on lap 9 of 13. Abby Pulling has made a nice little gap, 3.7 seconds between herself for Anne. Biggest rival Dorian Pan, with Marty 3rd, Vug 4th, Nina Gaiman, our wildcard, 5th, Chambers 6th, Noble 7th, Block 8th, Hamna Alkabezi 9th, Schreider 10th, Lola Lovenfoss 11th, Houseman 12th, Edgar 13th, De Hausch in 14th, Bustamante 15th, and Amna Alkabezi in 16th. And now, given the fact that we do have a second race literally in an hour's time, do you think they're being a little bit safer over the course of this race? Because, you know, there's no time to, if there is any damage to the car, to fix it.
Yeah, definitely so. And you'll tell yourself that as a driver at the start of the race, a bit of red mist may kind of dilute that mindset somewhat. But yeah, unless you know the move is definitely on, you're probably just going to err on the side of caution, because it's a bit of a quirk having this race so close together that one DNF could actually just double, and that's your whole weekend done, and you're going to score 0 points. But you could use that as a positive and kind of put that on the other driver you're racing with, and it's like, I'm going to send it down the inside, so if you turn in, we're both going to DNF, and you can maybe use that as a positive. And I think Maya Vug is the driver most likely to make a move for the final podium position on Nerea Marti.
Yeah, this is obviously a home race for Maya Vug, fighting for 3rd at the moment. She had a great start to the season with 2 podiums in Jeddah. Hasn't been on the podium since, and was out of the points in Barcelona. So this would be a great moment for her and her team Ferrari. She was the first female Ferrari Driver Academy driver, and she also won the Girls on Track Rising Star programme. And she's quite experienced when it comes to single-seater racing. But we are now on board with Hamna Alkabezi, who's currently in 9th at the moment. So she is in the points finishing position, but if she can get ahead of Leah Block, it would make quite a difference to her points scoring position.
Yeah, definitely. You can actually see the speed trap data there. All 3 cars exactly the same. The cars are identical, so it may not be surprising, but the amount of setup changes you can do. And obviously 4 different teams running cars. That shows you how close one-make racing can be. As we
Leah
see
Block there.
You're looking...
Yeah,
and then,
looking there on the inside. Bit of a lock-up.
yeah, she went back to the racing line. It just unsettled the car. But this might be stuff that Leah Block's never done before, racing on a circuit. In a rally car, you kind of do that momentum, sort of pendulum Scandinavian flick to get the car into the corner. It's essentially what she tried there. But these cars are so stiff that they just can't react to that weight transfer. So that is why the car then unsettled. She's now realising she's probably only got 2 more laps to get a chance to overtake. She is in that awkward position in the middle of 3 cars. You want to attack, but you also know you've got a car on your rear. If you make a mistake, you lose a place. So it is a difficult mindset to get the right balance of attack and defence.
Yeah, and also a reminder that some of these drivers have actually had quite a bit of experience here. So the likes of Pulling, Edgar, Bustamante, Nobles, Gateman and Chambers all did a British F4 race here not that long ago. So maybe that's where the likes of Nina Gateman has got that little bit of extra experience that has really played into her hands here today.
Yeah, and it was good move and commitment by the drivers to get extra track time. There was actually 8 female drivers in that British F4 race. So to have a mixed grid of 8 females, it really shows you the initiative of F1 Academy is already working. It will take time to spread all the way through motorsport, but that was a great case study of why this championship is so important.
Yeah, and in that rose gold livery, it does look really good. It's all due to a collaboration with the Female Quotient, the FQ, which is a sort of digital platform, media platform that is really pushing parity for women in the workplace, and they're going to be part of F1 Academy for the rest of the season. So great to see it's all going well for their first race.
Yeah, and Gateman is so close to actually being 4th overall with the time penalty for Pan. She is currently 4.9 seconds from Pan. We know Pan has a 5-second penalty, so in these last couple of laps it'll be interesting to see what that gap does. She has just done a green sector 1 as well. I'm sure the team are telling her, do you need to push, and you can actually finish 4th here on the results.
Yeah, and again, look at that gap between Dorian Pan and Nerea Marti. It has increased to 2.5 seconds, but at the moment that is not going to be enough for Dorian Pan to cling on to a P2 finish. It really does all hang in the balance on these last couple of laps. Side by side there between Hamna Alkhabisi and Leah Block. A little, not quite contact, but not far off it.
Yeah, it was a good idea from Alkhabisi because it's not a stereotypical corner you'd overtake at, so she nearly caught Block napping. The problem is she looks to the inside again. Look at Nobles now getting away. As soon as a battle starts, you start compromising your line and your exit speeds and your lap times fall away. So Nobles will be looking in her mirror. Block really defensive now as they go on to their final lap. This is going to get really interesting. Can Alkhabisi get the cutback? No, just a little bit of wash from the rear of Block's car, I think, created a bit of unsteer. Mahavug looking to try and take that final podium position as well. Dorian Pan's last lap was a little bit slow. At the moment, she would be finishing 5th behind Leader Gateman.
So can Hamna Alkhabisi do it? Yes, she can. She's managed to pass Leah Block down into turn 1. Leah Block putting up a great defence there, but didn't quite have the pace to match the Red Bull car. Hamna moves up to P8.
Amazing. Leah Block tried everything, but Hamda's speed was so good there. Be interesting, can Block get anything from this last half a lap? She's worked so hard to keep her there. It's so frustrating when you lose it so late on. Let's have another look as that. You can see the slipstream already coming out of 14. Leah Block squeezes her to the pit wall, leaves 101% of a gap of a car there, and then goes back to the racing line. Neither driver blinked. It was hard but fair racing, and really good job by Hamda as well to get the car stopped. You could see it moving around in the brake zone.
And as you mentioned there, really good, clean racing. Although we've got to take a look at Abby Pulling, because this will be the last part of her lap. Lap 13 of 13. It's looking very likely that she's going to do it again. It would be her 5th win of this season as she now comes round down into 13, into 14. What a moment. Abby Pulling for Alpine takes her 5th win of the season in a dominant display. Dorian Pat following behind. Nerea Marti moves up to 2nd because of that time penalty. Maya Vug, a home race for her in 3rd. Nina Gaveman, a great performance from our wild card in 4th. Dorian Pat has dropped to P5 with that false start. Chloe Chambers 6th, Aurelia Noble 7th, Hamna Alcabezi 8th, Leah Block drops to 9th, Carrie Schreiner 10th, and they are the points finishing positions.
Really close, wasn't it, from Schreiner there all the way back to De House. They were all within a 1.5 seconds. That was super tight, so great racing all the way through the field. But what a dominant performance from Abby Pulling, her engineer on the pit wall there, just communicating. Normal sort of procedure here in terms of just going off the racing line, get a bit of pickup on those tyres, and Abby waving to the crowd. We saw a really passionate crowd here yesterday, and I think we'll see the same again today.
I mean, just, you know, that raw talent, that determination that we have seen from Abby Pulling, waving to the crowds there, enjoying the moment. She does seem to be rather... Let's listen in.
Amazing, guys. Thank you very much. It was, yeah, a really fast start. Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry you can't be here. And tell Granddad if you're watching with him that this is for Nanny. She's been watching over you.
So a great moment for Abby Pulling. But interestingly, you know, if Dorian Pat hadn't got that time penalty for the false start, then actually it would have been quite close. You know, we've seen in the past sometimes that the race leader finishes 5, 6, 7 seconds ahead of P2. So actually, in terms of how tight it's been, this is one of the tighter races, but yet it still was such a dominant display from her.
Yeah, and it's the sort of the flow of the season now that's more interesting. Pulling is just getting more dominant, I think. I thought Pam may be able to respond after she had a start strong to the series, and I think we're going to hear him from the rear Marty here.
That's a P2, very well, good race, well fought on the start.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
So sounding nice and calm there, wasn't she, Nerea Marti? She didn't seem surprised. The team must have already communicated to her about Pan's penalty, but yeah, she did really well at the start. I think she had the best getaway. She was the hot shot off the grid into turn number 1.
Yeah, she really did put up a good fight against Dorian Pat at the start of the race. It's her 3rd podium of the season. So I think we've got to keep an eye on Nerea Marti, because she's definitely, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, she's really showing her form at the moment. Really has improved as a driver. And there we see, or the top 3, Abby pulling in with Nerea Marti and Maya Vug side by side. The teams will be there to congratulate them and to enjoy this moment. But they can't enjoy it for very long, because it's about an hour or so until race 2 kicks off. So it'll be time for maybe spot a breakfast, or do you avoid eating at this point in between races?
Yeah, it's really difficult because the drivers all would have burnt a fair amount of energy in that 13-lap sprint. So yeah, it'd probably be sort of your plain pastas, which always feels a bit odd, 9 o'clock in the morning local time in Zandvoort. Banana is always good as well. Pulling's getting big congratulations from the team. And as a team, it's amazing, as you can see Alice Power as well, her manager in the background, Marty, quite excited there with her team as well. So yeah, an hour and 40 minutes until the next race. That's scheduled 10:40 local time. So if you liked race 1, then you don't have to wait too long for race 2.
Yeah, and do you know what is brilliant to see? The sort of congratulations that also goes on amongst the drivers. I think a lot of them in F1 Academy do have a really strong relationship. But of course, once the helmets are on, the visors down, they're fierce rivals. But off the track, they're actually really good companions.
Yeah, you spend so much time together doing media stuff, and even the travel element of it. It's always the Sunday night when you get to the airport to go home and everyone's flight is delayed by 2 or 3 hours. It makes time go a lot faster when you can talk about something or just find a hobby to do with each other.
So we will get the podium ceremony started in just a few moments' time. A few more chats going on between Maya Vug and, of course, the Prema team. So it is a Ferrari livery car, but it's the works team Prema who are just so brilliant at nurturing young talent who actually run the team. And now we're going to hear from Abby Pulling, our race winner She's with Ariana Bravo.
Abby, congratulations. Win number 5. This is becoming a regular occurrence. How was it out there for you, especially given we weren't expecting to have race 1 today?
I'm so glad actually that they did fit in the race today. We were scared that they weren't after yesterday's conditions, but it was a dream race. I went in quite laid back, to be honest. I knew that we were fast in the dry, obviously starting on the front row. I was the one to beat, so just controlled the race. We did have a bit of tire deg at the end, so I'll talk to my engineer about that, but otherwise, great race.
You're looking so dominant at the moment. It's looking almost easy for you, bringing these wins home and also the pole positions. How are you and the team feeling in yourselves?
Sorry, say that
How
again?
are you and the team feeling in yourselves?
I mean, in myself, I'm so happy, and I'm really proud of myself, what I've been doing mentally. I do a lot with a guy called Martin at Gazing to make sure that I'm mentally at the best position as possible, but also, the team, they're doing an amazing job for me, Road & Motorsport. I can't thank them enough. The car is just perfect, or needs perfect every time I go out, so I've just got to do the job, and that's, it's great. We work so well together, and I think a relationship like that is so important.
And we have just about an hour until you're straight back out there for race 2. Not starting on pole, but of course this has given you a little taster of what the conditions are like out there. How are you feeling for that race and how are you approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting P2 for that one actually, so it'll be going into turn 1, trying being on the attack, but I think the pace that we showed there, even if we don't make it in turn 1, we'll still be able to pile the pressure on. So, I mean, good points for the championship. I'm still kind of thinking ahead. I'm going to be clever. I don't need to do anything desperate, so that's the important thing.
Well, good luck for that race and huge congratulations for this win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Ariana Bravo and Abby Pulling. Let's take a look at some of the action that we enjoyed over the course of this first race of the weekend. Abby Pulling crossing the finish line first for a 5th time this season. What a special moment for her and the Rodin team, giving a good old wave to the fans. But what is going to be really interesting to see is how race 2 is going to unfold, because it's Pulling and Pat on the front row, but the opposite way around. Dorian Pat is going to be taking pole position. So can this be her opportunity to really capitalise on that start of the race? And Abby Pulling there, what pose? Abby Pulling will obviously now have the opportunity to go up against Dorian Pat.
Yeah, it's a completely different dynamic, and it'll be interesting to see how aggressive Pan is. Now the way the championship is looking, she's got to be aggressive. The realistic way, she's only going to win this championship if Pulling starts having a few DNFs. So, yeah, the dynamic is going to certainly shift in an hour and 35 minutes time now.
Is there much work that the team could be doing? I mean, obviously, all of the drivers have virtually identical, they are identical cars, but there are changes that you can make to the setup.
Yeah,
How much, will be going on in between race 1 and 2?
Not too much, because the cars go into parc fermé where they're not allowed to be touched to make sure there's been no irregularities or cheating, essentially.
Let's listen into what they've got to say.
Yeah, then I was stuck. I mean, the snow was not bad considering it was wet.
No, to be fair.
Yeah. But I didn't see the full start.
Chica! Sorry?
She had a full start going
Yeah,
up,
I
didn't see it.
I got told on the radio on the in-lap, but I didn't.
You didn't need to have the information before that, did you?
I just chilled. Oh,
What?
squaring it off. I absolutely love this track. I'm jealous it's your home track.
Yeah. I wish I had a better quality, because once you're in front, it's easy to...
Yeah. Because sector 2 is quite a lot, at least in British, aero wash.
Yeah. I need to be for that.
Always good to have a little listen in that briefing room. Pulling there, saying she just chilled.
Yeah, she looked pretty chilled the whole race. And interestingly, Maya Rugg there saying she didn't see the jump start for Pan even. She had the best view. She was directly behind Pan. So, yeah, interesting one. It'd be great to hear what Pan's thoughts are. We'll try and bring that to you before race number 2. Talking about the aero wash as well from the British F4 race that we spoke about. So all this information the drivers just have to keep hold of, and they may be using it. Pulling didn't have any aero wash there because she led every single lap. But is that going to be different in race number 2?
So now it is time for the podium celebrations. In 3rd place, it is a home podium for Maya Rugg in the Ferrari liveried Prema car. Nerea Marti there walking up to the 2nd spot on the podium. The Tommy Hilfiger livery run by Campos. Nerea Marti in P2. And then our winner of race 1 here in Zandvoort, it's Abby Pulling in the Alpine car for Rodin. Let's listen to the national anthem. So there is your podium for race 1 here in Zandvoort. The trophies are presented by Ria Wateries, the honorary race secretary. Some more silverware for the trophy cabinet. As you progress as a driver, do you just get a bigger trophy cabinet?
It depends on your situation at home. Mine always stayed at my parents' house, and then after about 10 years, my dad said they're either coming home with you or they're going to the tip. So it's a difficult one. You start.
Did you ever sell one? eBay it.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'd raise much funds. But yeah, it is difficult. They're getting bigger and bigger and more fancy, which is brilliant. But yeah, the storage is definitely a consideration.
But this is really such a special moment, again, for young drivers all around the world to just remind you, you know, see it, you can be it, an inspiration of the next generation of female drivers. And it's great to see Nerea and Abby there. They've got a good relationship off the track, supporting each other. And I'm sure the celebrations will be very much enjoyed. But a dominant performance from Abby Pulling, who is going to challenge her for this fight. Because Dorian Pan could do it in race 2, starting from pole position. If Dorian Pan can get the start she needs, although given the fact that she has just had a false start, does that mean she's going to be very wary of her approach going into race 2?
Yeah, she'll definitely review the strategy they use and what exactly caused her to jump the start, because 5 seconds is very hard to recover from a circuit like Zandvoort where the overtaking is difficult. So yeah, Pan is going to be prepping like mad for race number 2.
Well, I've got to say, I'm just glad the sun came out because the conditions that we endured yesterday, I think I read somewhere that some fan on site went to hide in the toilets. The conditions were so bad, but beautiful blue skies today. So, final classification of race 1, Abby Pulling takes the win. Nerea Marti alongside in P2 and Maya Rugg in 3rd. Nina Gageman, phenomenal performance for her in 4th. Dorian Pan, because of the time penalty, dropped to 5th. Chloe Chambers in 6th, Aurelia Nobles 7th. Hamna Al-Khabazi for Red Bull Racing, operated by MP, which is a home race for them, in 8th. Leah Block put up a great fight against Al-Khabazi, finishing in 9th. And Carrie Schreiner for Kick Sauber in 10th. Tina Hausman just out of the points there in 11th. Jess Edgar 12th. Lola Löwenfoss 13th. Bianca Bustamante 14th. Emily De Hausch in 15th. And Amna Al-Khabazi finishes off the results in 16th. Well, thank you so much for joining us for a A race won here in Zandvoort. Obviously, Abby Pulling has managed to take the win, but will it be Dorian Pat who can capitalise on her pole position here in Zandvoort? Join us in just over an hour as we go racing once again.